Welcome back to the deep dive. I hope you are sitting comfortably, maybe with a warm drink in your hand, because today, today we are going somewhere that makes your freezer look like, a tropical vacation.
That is absolutely right.
We are leaving the studio and heading to the absolute edge of the habitable world.
Yeah, we're heading into an environment where the air itself is a weapon, where the darkness lasts for 24 hours a day, and where the silence is it's absolute.
Until it's broken by something that is definitely not from around here.
Not even close.
We are diving deep into a narrative account titled Predator, Cold War. And let me tell you, the source material is intense. It's a dense, just a terrifying mix of survival horror, a military thriller, and a sci-fi mystery.
It really is.
We've got a stack of transcripts and reports here that paint a picture of the Siberian Arctic that is just, well, it's a nightmare scenario even before the monsters show up.
It is. And the mission for this deep dive, really, is to analyze a very specific, very high-stakes scenario. What happens when humanity's deadliest military technology and our deadliest political paranoia collide with a hunter that views us all as nothing more than, well, trophies?
Trophies, yeah.
We are going to look at how that old Cold War mindset persists, even after the Iron Curtain falls, and how fragile our high-tech toys are when nature or something else decides to fight back.
Okay, so let's set the scene for you. We are on the Yamal Peninsula, Siberia. It is the dead of winter. And when I say winter, I don't mean put on an extra sweater.
No, not at all.
I mean temperatures dropping to 60 degrees below 0 Celsius.
Which is about, 75 below 0 Fahrenheit?
75 below. Let's just pause on that number for a second because it's so easy to just gloss over a number like that.
You really have to stop and think about what that means physically. At minus 75 Fahrenheit, the physics of everyday life just they change.
Right.
Exposed skin doesn't just get cold, it freezes solid in seconds. Your eyelashes can freeze together, but more importantly for our story, materials change their properties.
Oh, absolutely.
Steel becomes brittle, it can shatter, rubber shatters like glass. Oil, the kind you'd have in an engine, turns into this thick, useless sludge.
It's an environment that actively wants you dead every second you're in it.
Exactly. And into this frozen wasteland, we're introduced to our first character, a man named Taro.
Taro. He's a reindeer herder, indigenous to the region, and right away, the source material does a great job of establishing his competence. He is out there in the pitch black, in a storm, tracking a lost reindeer.
Right. And that establishes the baseline for survival here. Taro knows this land, he respects it, he understands that if he stops moving for too long, he's
dead. He fully expects to find his reindeer dead. Because in this climate, nothing survives on its own for long.
But what he finds is not just a dead animal. He's the first one to witness the anomaly.
Okay, let's unpack this anomaly, because this is the inciting incident. This is what kicks everything off. Taro is trudging through the snow, and he sees something in the sky.
A light.
Now, given the time period, we're in the early 90s, just after the Soviet collapse, what's his first thought? What does his brain immediately jump to?
His first thought is Americans.
Right.
He sees a streak of fire and thinks it's the Aurora. You remember the Aurora rumors?
Right.
The mythical American hypersonic spy plane?
Oh, absolutely. The triangular plane that supposedly didn't exist, but everyone talked about. It was the stuff of legend.
Exactly. That is the mindset immediately. Even out here on the ice, in the middle of nowhere, the first assumption is Cold War. It's the Americans versus the Russians.
But what Taro sees isn't a plane landing. It's a crash. A violent orange fireball that just screams overhead.
And the sensory details that text provides are fascinating. He talks about a sound louder than any storm, a tearing sound, like the sky is ripping open, and then heat.
Heat. In the middle of a Siberian winter.
Impossible heat. He's walking toward the crash site, and suddenly the air smells like ozone and burning metal. He starts sweating inside his heavy furs, which is incredibly dangerous in that climate.
Oh, sweat can kill you. It freezes.
Instantly. But then he notices the ground. The ice isn't crunchy and solid anymore. It's slick. It's wet.
Wet ice at 75 below 0. That shouldn't be possible.
Thermodynamics tells us it isn't. To melt permafrost ground that has been frozen solid for millennia and keep it liquid in that ambient temperature requires a staggering, just an unbelievable amount of continuous energy output.
So it's not just a fire.
No, it's not a simple fire from a crash. It's a reactor. It's something radiating massive, constant power.
So Taro, he's thinking, okay, maybe I can salvage something. Maybe I'll get a medal from Moscow for finding a secret American plane. He walks into this ravine where the crash happened.
And this is where it gets really, really creepy.
He finds his reindeer, but it's dead. And then he sees the lights.
The 3 red dots.
The classic triangle formation. The one we all know.
We, the audience, know exactly what that is. That is a laser triangulation site. But Taro, he has no frame of reference for that. He just sees these tiny spots of warmth on his chest.
The text says he actually reaches out to touch them.
That innocence is just heartbreaking, isn't it?
It is. He's curious. And then a blue-white flash.
No sound, no warning, just vaporization.
And Taro is gone, just like that. The mystery is in motion. But we have to shift gears now, because Taro is just the first domino to fall. Now we need to talk about the people who have to clean this mess up.
Or at least the people who try to.
Which brings us to the Russian perspective, and specifically a character named Lieutenant Lyatcha.
Leah. She's the commander of Pumping Station 12, which is this isolated oil pipeline station nearby. And her character is really interesting because she's fighting a war on 2 fronts.
Yeah, being a woman in a post-Soviet military environment, that does not sound like a fun job.
Not at all. The source material makes it really clear that she's isolated. She has to maintain this fierce, almost asexual front just to command a shred of respect from her subordinates and her superiors.
She's competent, she's tough, but she's constantly underestimated.
Completely. She's stuck guarding an oil pipeline in the middle of nowhere, basically forgotten by Moscow. A dead-end posting.
Until she gets a call from a Dr. Sobchak.
Sobchak is the station's geologist. He's eccentric, nervous, kind of your classic jittery scientist character. But his equipment is picking up something undeniable.
More than just an earthquake from the crash.
Oh, yeah. He sees a massive spike in seismic activity, which fits the crash, but also radioactivity.
Radioactivity. Okay, that escalates things considerably.
4 times the normal background levels, and the heat signature is off the charts. So Lyatcha, being the professional she is, does her duty. She gathers a squad, and there's kids, really, young soldiers, and they head out to investigate.
This drive out there, the text makes it feel like a classic horror movie setup. They're driving into the dark, the temperature's dropping even further, and they find the crash site.
Or rather, they find what the crash site has become. They find a totem.
A totem.
It's a pole, just a pole stuck in the ice, and hanging from it, upside down, is Taro's body.
Oh, wow.
But it gets worse. He's headless. And he's been drained of blood.
That is specific and horrific. Why did they do that? We see this in the movies all the time, but what's the purpose behind that kind of display?
Well, it's a message, first and foremost. It's a territorial marker. It says, this is my hunting ground. But it's also a trophy display. By removing the seat of identity and draining the blood, the predator is dehumanizing the victim. It turns a person into meat.
Into a prize.
Exactly. It creates fear before the enemy is even seen. It's psychological warfare.
And Lyatcha, being a good commander, she notices some forensic details around the pole, right?
She does. She sees that the ground around the pole is melted, fused into something like glass, and their footprints. Massive prints pressed deep into the snow.
But there's something weird about them.
Very weird. They have the texture of sandals.
Sandals in 60 below zero.
That's the anomaly. Whatever made these prints has claws, but it's wearing open-toed footwear in the deadliest cold on Earth. It implies a creature that is either so technologically advanced it can just ignore the cold, or
it's incredibly arrogant.
Incredibly arrogant. And before they can even process this bizarre scene, the massacre begins.
And it is a massacre. The text is clear on that. It isn't a battle.
Not even remotely. The squad is wiped out in seconds. Lyatcha describes it as blue-white flashes that just shear through flesh and bone. There's no cover. There's no fighting back. It's over before it starts.
And there's that shimmering effect, right? The invisibility cloak.
Yes. The optical camouflage. In the swirling snow and the darkness, it makes them look like ghosts. Like heat haze where there shouldn't be any.
Lyatcha survives only by sheer luck.
Pure luck. She falls, gets buried under a snowdrift, and plays dead. But she's forced to witness the end of her youngest soldier, a boy named Baronin.
And this is a key moment in the text. This really defines the enemy.
It is. Because the creature doesn't just shoot Baronin from a distance. It walks up to him. It decloaks. And Lyatcha gets her first clear look. She sees a yellow-skinned giant with these long metallic wrist blades.
Oh, man.
And it literally slices the boy open. It's brutal, it's precise, and it establishes that these aren't soldiers fighting for territory or ideology. They are hunters killing for sport. It's a ritual.
So Licha is the sole survivor. She's traumatized. She gets flown to Moscow. She's treated like she's crazy. And then, in a move of pure bureaucratic genius, they send her right back to the station.
Of course they do, because they need someone who knows the ground. But while Russia is reeling from this and trying to figure out what's going on, we have to look at the other side of the Cold War equation.
The Americans are watching, too.
The Americans are always watching.
Right, because if something crashes in Siberia and radiates heat and radiation, you can bet the U.S. is going to notice. Satellites never blink.
Exactly. So we shift perspective. We're in a dark room with General Meters and a technician named Sherson. They're looking at satellite data. They see the infrared bloom. They see the radiation spike.
And their immediate conclusion is terrifyingly logical.
It's a nuke.
They think the Russians are moving nuclear weapons around, or had an accident.
All of the above. Remember, the Soviet Union had just collapsed. The control over their vast nuclear arsenal was a massive global concern. So when the U.S. sees a radiation spike in Siberia, they don't think E.T., they think Chernobyl 2.0 or Rogue Nuke. This is a DEFCON level event.
It triggers an immediate geopolitical crisis behind the scenes, but there's one man in the intelligence community who looks at the data and thinks, wait a minute, this doesn't fit the profile.
Enter General Mavis.
I love this character type, the guy in the basement office, the one who knows all the secrets nobody else does.
He works off the books, esoteric threat assessment, and he's looking at the profile. The trajectory of the object matches a meteorite, but the heat signature lasts way too long. A meteorite cools down. This thing is staying hot.
And the radiation isn't right for a bomb.
Not at all. It's the wrong kind of signature.
Right.
And he realizes this connects to a previous, very covered-up incident, the 3rd Avenue incident in New York City.
Ah, the direct reference to the earlier source material. He knows they've been here before.
He knows, and he realizes this isn't an invasion, and it's definitely not a nuke. It's a shipwreck.
A shipwreck. That changes everything.
It changes the entire mission profile. It goes from prevent nuclear war to salvage operation.
Because if it's a shipwreck, there's technology there for the taking.
The ultimate prize. If you can get to that ship first, you get star drives, you get plasma weapons, you get lightweight alloys that can withstand atmospheric reentry. It is the single greatest technological leap in human history, just sitting in the mud.
And that is where General Phillips comes in.
Wow.
Phillips he's a fascinating character. He's been sidelined, drinking in an empty office, basically just waiting for the aliens to come back.
He is completely obsessed.
Yeah.
He represents the danger of the military-industrial complex when it loses its moral compass entirely. He doesn't care about the diplomatic fallout. He doesn't care about the human cost. He wants the weaponry. He wants to ensure U.S. dominance for the next 1,000 years. He views this crash as a gift from the heavens.
But to get that gift, he needs a team. And he doesn't just want soldiers. He's smarter than that. He wants someone who has survived these things before.
He wants Detective Schaefer.
Our reluctant hero. Schaefer is NYPD. He's cynical. He's built like a tank. The text explicitly compares him to Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is not subtle.
Not at all. And he hates the federal government.
With very good reason.
Mm-hmm.
His brother, a man named Dutch, disappeared in Central America years ago after fighting these exact same creatures.
Right. So Schaefer has a personal vendetta. He wants to know what happened to Dutch. But Phillips doesn't exactly go through the proper channels to recruit him.
No, he really doesn't. There's this one scene in the book that just perfectly illustrates who Schaefer is. He's in the middle of a drug bust in a New York tenement, a dealer named Baby and her crew.
And it all goes wrong. His backup gets killed.
It goes sideways fast. Cops are getting shot. And Schaefer, well, tell us about the frying pan.
It's such a great character moment. Schaefer is pinned down. He's maybe out of ammo or just needs a blunt instrument. And he's in an apartment kitchen. He grabs a heavy cast iron skillet from a stove.
And
he takes down an armed criminal with it. Clang! End of story.
It shows his resourcefulness, his sheer grit.
It shows he doesn't need high-tech gadgets. He uses his environment. He adapts. That is his superpower. But then, right in the middle of this chaotic scene, Phillips's men show up.
Led by a Colonel Smithers.
And they're cold. They interrupt the bust. And to tie up all the loose ends, they execute the surviving criminals.
Wow. Just clean house.
It shows that Phillips and Smithers operate with zero moral compass. They view people as disposable assets or liabilities to be removed. They drug Schaefer, they kidnap him, and when he wakes up, he's on a helicopter heading to the Arctic.
And the dialogue there between him and Phillips is just electric. Schaefer is furious. He tells them, I don't care about your national security. He's seen what that means.
But Phillips dangles the only carrot that would ever work. He says, help us get the tech and I'll tell you what really happened to your brother.
It's the only leverage he has. And
Yeah.
it works.
It's the only thing that would.
Yeah.
So Schaefer agrees, but he is extremely skeptical of the team Phillips has put together for this mission.
Let's talk about this team. We've got a Captain Lynch, who's the by-the-book officer. We've got these elite soldiers like Wilcox and Lassen, and they are geared up to the nines.
They are the absolute embodiment of American military technological reliance. They have these high-tech heated suits with like circulating fluid to keep them warm.
Sounds impressive.
They have modified M16s called Ice Killers, specially designed for cold weather. They are brimming with confidence. They think their gear makes them invincible.
And Schaefer warns them, right? He basically looks at them and says, technology fails, these things hunt for sport, you guys are overconfident and you're going to get killed.
And they just laugh at him.
Yeah.
They mock him. They think he's just a dumb beat cop from the city. They don't understand that he has faced the predator on its own terms, with mud and guts, not with fancy gadgets.
And this sets up the central conflict of the next section, really. It's technology versus nature.
And man versus monster, and man versus man. It's a three-way collision.
So they gear up and they do a halo jump into Siberia. High altitude, low opening, a classic Special Forces insertion. They land near Pumping Station 12. And immediately, things feel wrong.
The station is dark, it's silent, it's freezing. They enter, maybe expecting some Russian resistance or just empty buildings. Instead, they find the slaughterhouse,
They find the Russian workers.
hung from the rafters in the maintenance bay, gutted. It's the exact same MO as Taro, but on a much larger, more industrial scale. It's a grotesque gallery of trophies.
And then the twist. They aren't alone in the station. They think they're being stealthy, but they've walked right into a trap.
Not at all. Lieutenant Licha has returned from Moscow, and she has brought a new, much more alert squad with her. She's there with a Sergeant Yashin, who is this ambitious, aggressive soldier, basically the Russian equivalent of the American Captain Lynch.
And they ambush the Americans.
They get the drop on them completely.
So now we have a standoff. A squad of high-tech Americans versus a squad of low-tech but very angry Russians in a freezing oil pumping station surrounded by the gutted bodies of their comrades.
And Licha, she's smart. She quickly realizes the Americans didn't kill her workers. She looks at the bodies. They're hung too high for a normal person to get them up there. The wounds are clearly from blades, not bullets. She knows the monster is back.
But before they can really figure out a joint plan or kill each other, the environment starts to take its toll. The real enemy makes its move.
This is where it gets really interesting. Schaefer's warning comes true, word for word.
The cold. It's 60 below zero, and the Americans' advanced, state-of-the-art plastic suits, they start to fail.
They turn brittle. Let's explain that because it's a key detail. Plastic polymers have what's called a glass transition temperature. It's the point where they go from being flexible to being rigid and fragile.
So at minus 60.
The plastic tubing in their suits acts like glass. So when the soldiers dive for cover during the standoff, they hit the hard, frozen ground, and the tubes in their suits literally shatter.
Oh no, and that heating fluid they were so proud of.
It starts leaking out all over them, and because it's being exposed to that extreme cold, it freezes almost instantly. It turns into this thick, slushy, icy glue. So the very thing designed to keep them warm is now freezing them to death and immobilizing them.
It's a death trap they're wearing. What about their guns, the ice killers?
Jammed. The batteries for their advanced sights fail because batteries lose their charge incredibly fast in extreme cold. The special lubricants freeze solid. The metal itself becomes brittle. The guns literally start to fall apart.
Meanwhile, look at the Russians. What are they wearing?
Low-tech wool and fur. Reindeer hides. Heavy, simple, effective.
Gear, which has been proven to work for centuries.
Nature-engineered reindeer fur to survive the Arctic. It doesn't shatter. It traps heat. And what are they carrying? AK-47s.
Most reliable rifle on Earth.
Lubricated with simple oil, not some high-tech grease. And their gear works. It just keeps on working.
It's such a perfect juxtaposition. The million-dollar high-tech American gear fails catastrophically in primal conditions, but the simple, rugged, low-tech stuff survives.
It just reinforces the theme that over-reliance on gadgets is a critical weakness. And, the predators, the aliens, they rely on tech too, with their invisibility and plasma cannons. But as we're about to see, even they aren't immune to the debilitating effects of the cold.
So tensions are just skyrocketing. We have Captain Lynch, who's arrogant and wants to take charge, but his team is falling apart. We have Sergeant Yashin, who just wants to kill the Americans for the glory of Russia.
And stuck in the middle, you have Schaefer and Licha, who are the only two people in the room realizing, hey, We are all going to die if we don't stop pointing guns at each other and focus on the real threat.
And that internal conflict boils over.
It does. The Americans use C4 to blow the door of the barracks where they're being held prisoner. A full-blown firefight breaks out in the station. It's absolute chaos. Americans shooting at Russians, Russians shooting back.
And amidst all this noise and muzzle flashes and heat, Schaefer and Leacher realize the utter futility of it. They essentially team up. They have a common enemy.
But they're the only two pragmatists. They realize there's a third party out there, hunting them all.
And that third party makes its move.
It does. Schaefer and Lyacha flee the firefight. Their goal is now to get to the ravine, to find the alien ship. But Sergeant Yashin, he is completely driven by paranoia and ambition. He sees Lyacha leaving with the American and thinks she's a traitor.
He pursues them.
He gets his men to the edge of the canyon overlooking the ravine, and he tries to snipe them.
He tries to kill Lyacha.
He does. But he forgets where he is. He's standing on a ridge, making noise, focusing on a human enemy. He's drawing attention to himself. And the sentry, the alien that's been left to guard the crash light, it finally intervenes.
And this intervention is, well, it's not subtle.
It's an absolute slaughter. It obliterates Yashin's squad. It uses spears. It uses wrist blades. It moves like a phantom between them. It's not a fight. It's an execution.
But there's a psychological element here that the source material really highlights, which I find fascinating. The aliens are described as being bored.
Bored. Yeah, that seems like such an odd word for a killing machine, doesn't it?
It does.
But think about it from their perspective. We know from other sources they are tropical hunters. They thrive in heat and jungles. Here, they are stuck in the freezing cold. They hate the cold. They are stranded. Their ship is broken.
So they're not hunting for the thrill of the hunt right now.
No, they're lashing out. They are angry and irritable and taking out their frustrations on anything that moves. It actually makes them more dangerous in a way because they're not following their usual code of honor. They're just being sadistic.
So Yashin and his squad are gone, wiped off the board, and that leaves Leacha and Schaefer in the ravine. And now they're cornered by this very angry, very bored sentry.
This is the climax of the man versus monster conflict. And Schaefer knows, he realizes instantly, he can't outgun this thing. His high-tech ice killer rifle is useless. He literally throws it away in disgust. He has to go primal.
He uses an entrenching tool, a shovel.
A military shovel with a sharpened edge.
Yeah.
And it becomes this brutal physical brawl. He tackles the creature. He uses his raw strength. He manages to get his hands on its mask and rip it off.
And you get the full reveal.
Under the mask, it's hideous. The mandibles, the yellow skin, and it does something incredibly chilling. It mimics Schaefer's voice. It says, "Go home."
That is just terrifying. It understands enough language to mock him.
Or maybe it's a genuine warning, like, you don't belong here. But Schaefer is wounded. The creature has that shoulder-mounted plasma cannon. It's about to fire at point-blank range. Schaefer is pinning the creature down, but he can't kill it alone. He's physically outmatched.
Enter Leacha.
Leacha steps up with her reliable AK-47, and she empties the entire magazine directly into the creature's unmasked face.
No hesitation, just full auto.
None. The text says she holds the trigger down until the gun just clicks dry. It's the decisive moment. The high-tech American gear failed. The diplomatic talks failed. The military chain of command failed. What worked was a shovel, a standard-issue Russian assault rifle, and pure, unadulterated grit.
So the sentry is dead. They've won the battle. They proceed to the crash site, and they find the ship.
And it's just as strange as you'd imagine. It's half buried in mud and slush, created by its own waste heat. It's glowing red from within. And Schaefer voices a theory. He speculates that these aliens are just tourists who took a wrong turn.
It's a shipwreck, exactly like General Mavis thought from the very beginning.
But before they can do anything with it, before they can investigate it or claim it or even just process what they're seeing, the reality of their situation catches up with them. The politics return with a vengeance.
Right, because back in the U.S., General Mavis realizes the game is up. The Russians know everything. The Americans can't just go in and steal the ship.
He realizes that if the U.S. tries to seize the ship by force, it could escalate into a full-blown nuclear war. The prize, the alien tech, isn't worth the end of the world. So the president orders the mission terminated.
And this leads to the cleanup, the most cynical part of the entire story.
It really is. And Ambassador Coronet from Russia and our own General Phillips from the U.S. arrive on site by helicopter.
Yeah.
And they make a deal.
They stand there over the bodies of their dead soldiers, and they make a deal.
They do. They agree to a mutual cover-up. The official story will be terrorists, or maybe a training accident gone wrong. The technology? Well, it will likely be shared between the two superpowers or maybe just buried forever to maintain the status quo.
Ugh.
They shake hands.
It's just infuriating. The people who actually did the fighting and the dying Schaefer, Leacha, all the dead squad members, they're just pawns in a much bigger game. Their sacrifices are just footnotes in a classified report.
There is a brief, interesting subplot mentioned about a Sheriff Rask, who was Schaefer's old partner. He's so worried about his friend that he tracks down the operation, beats the information out of Colonel Smithers in New York, and actually flies to Russia to find him.
It shows the depth of loyalty Schaefer inspires, despite his cynicism.
It does. It shows that somebody cares. But ultimately, the conclusion focuses on Schaefer and Leacha.
They share a drink in the freezing cold.
They share a drink of vodka, and they discuss the futility of it all. The heroes survived the horror, but the bureaucrats came in and played the game and won. The final image is just bleak.
Yeah.
The alien ship remains a political prize to be fought over by governments, while the human cost is completely ignored and swept under the rug.
There's that final line from Schaefer. Nobody cares, he says. Nobody cares except those things out there.
Meaning the aliens. At least the aliens have a code of honor, however twisted it might be. At least they are honest about what they are. Humans are the ones who lie.
Wow. Okay, let's just take a step back and really digest all of this. This story is just packed with themes.
It is. The most obvious one, which we've talked about, is the fragility of technology. We think we have mastered the world with our gadgets, but you drop us in the Siberian winter and we are just soft, freezing meat.
And the Cold War paranoia is a huge one. The wall came down, but the suspicion didn't go away. The first reaction to an alien crash was not, I wonder what this is. It was, it's a Russian nuke.
And that paranoia nearly triggered a war. It shows how deeply ingrained those old hostilities are. But I think the most compelling element for me is the character of Schaefer. He's a man who fights monsters, both the alien ones and the human ones, not for his country, not for glory, but for survival, and frankly, out of spite.
He represents the individual standing up against the machinery of both the state and the cosmos.
Perfectly put.
He really does. So I guess here's the question we want to leave you with today. If an advanced civilization crash-landed today, right now, somewhere on Earth, would humanity unite? Would we come together to study it, to welcome it, or maybe to defend against it?
Or would we destroy each other, trying to hoard the technology?
The source material we've just been through suggests a pretty bleak answer.
It suggests we would fight over the scraps while the ship sinks into the mud.
That is a chilling thought to end on. Keep your eyes on the skies, everyone. And maybe bring a warm coat.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
Stay